Hey, I'm Dustin.
And I'm International Style Boy Steve. Back attacking the mic, strike like a python. MC Radical, back on track from our podcast sabbatical. Welcome back to the Wedding Photo Hangover podcast. Justin Will Smith, the finest phototainment in the world. We are an irreverent look at photography. This podcast, like aspirin, will help you recover from your wedding hangover. Dustin, it has been a while since we recorded. The last time we recorded, our nation was on the brink of electing a new president.
Everything's been fixed, I believe. COVID is cured, president is elected, and
certainly no lawsuits still dragging on.
Yeah.
Oh man, I thought this election's gonna happen. Mm-hmm. Our man, Joe Biden, he's gonna win, and then
is that his theme song? Joe Biden.
Yeah, and then finally, I won't feel as horrible in my chest where the anxiety is held. Finally, that'll start to dissipate.
That's
what happened was the election happened, and Joe Biden did win. Mm-hmm. And our current president refuses to concede, and the anxiety's just gone up. Yeah. November was supposed to be a great month. It was supposed to be a great month, and it's not been a great month.
Yeah. Sorry, bud.
Oh.
That's why I got my green jacket on, my Pokemon hat. I'm just living life, even though we're both sick and under the weather. Praying that it's not COVID, and we are here for you guys. Sick or not sick, we are here for you guys. We appreciate your patience as we took this little much-needed sabbatical hiatus, hibernation, for me to pop out a baby, care for said baby, and also it being fall, Steve and I's busiest time of the year, and even made busier, compounded by all of the cancellations in the spring and early summer. So...
How's that been for you? Like, people canceled. And
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool.
Not for me.
People rescheduled, but they rescheduled for the busiest time of the year.
Mm-hmm. It's great. Try adding a brand new baby into that mix, and COVID and a presidential election. It's been magical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super.
For me, it's just been Jen starting her new job and me taking over all of her responsibilities for our business, and then the election and all the reschedules and all that stuff for me as well. So
yeah, not
as difficult as your life, I presume, but still more difficult than my life had been in the past.
Yeah. You were like, God, I didn't realize how easy I had it. And now,
I didn't.
And now I've got to do my wife's job.
Yeah. Yeah, and her job's tough, so.
Which her job, Steve? Just for reference point, her job is my job.
What? I don't know. I don't think that's... No, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, her job was called running a wedding photography studio.
Which is what I was doing with her.
Spoiler alert.
It's just now... I'm not doing it with her. Now I'm doing it alone. That's the big difference.
I've heard of a company called Bespoke Tone. They could probably help you out. You should totally give them a call. They once upon a time used to sponsor this podcast. I don't know if they still do, but
if you listen to the end of the show, you'll find out they still edit the show.
No spoilers. I don't like to listen all the way to the end. I listen every 5 minutes of every episode in that order.
Bespoke Tone has cut way back on its clients because of...
It's on a diet.
Yeah, because of everything that's happened.
It put on a little COVID weight, and so now it's trying to slim on down.
Hopefully we get things kind of figured out a little bit better, and maybe we start ramping that back up and taking on new clients again. Right now, we've basically said we're not taking on new clients for a while. But it's starting. I'm starting to feel like I can breathe again. I'm starting to feel like I'm getting the hang of things as far as Jen's job and my job, doing them both go, which mostly means just not doing my job anymore. Just doing Jen's job.
Plus, you're like homeschooling kids throughout all of this.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. That's the worst.
Forgot we have children. We just watched Home Alone tonight with the kids for the first time, which, probably not appropriate for the age of my children, but hey, it's 2020. And
Ian was 4 when he watched Home Alone for the first time. He thought it was the greatest movie he had ever seen, and then set up booby traps all throughout the house to try to injure Jen and I.
That is what I was worried about the whole time. I was like, I don't know if we should watch this because my daughter's really intelligent. And I will wake up to Hot Wheels cars beside my bed and Legos in my shower. But yeah.
Ian did paint cans on the stairs.
Oh.
But thankfully, he didn't actually use real paint cans. He just had like a piece of string hanging down with like a piece of paper with a picture of a paint can on it, if I remember correctly. Nice. Just so we would know. And then every time we were about to leave the house, he would tell us, wait, I have to go set up my booby traps in case someone tries to break in while we're gone. So
nice. But the whole time I'm watching that film, I'm thinking to myself, I have a much more high anxiety approach to this as a parent than I ever did watching it as a free-spirited child.
Yeah, no, as a parent watching it, I was like, did he clean all that stuff up before they got home? Because like I'm imagining walking into a house and you're just like slipping on micro machines, burning your hand, and it's all because your little shit son Kevin left everything out, and he's just having the time of his life.
Oh, Macaulay,
not cleaning up.
Yeah, Macaulay cooking, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta love that movie magic. Dustin, we should talk though. What are you drinking tonight?
Steven. Unlike you, who doesn't care about his health, I am still drinking water because I can barely breathe.
I'm also drinking water. Did you not see my glass of water as raising to my lips? Ice cold goodness down the hatch. Yeah. Little dihydrogen oxide.
But yeah, no, I did have some tasty old fashions last night, and 2 nights ago.
So now we know why you're sick.
No. Funny enough, my wife brought whatever this bug is into our house because she had it last week, and then me and the kids all got it Monday, and so we're kind of getting over it now, and it's been super fun.
As long as you're getting over it, that's the important part,
Better than getting under it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what she said.
What are you drinking tonight, Steve?
Tonight I'm drinking an Eric Blood Axe straight from Scarlet Lane Brewing Company. That's a great Indiana beer for a great Indiana man just like me, Dustin. And I'm so happy and excited to be drinking this. Dustin, I got to tell you, I shot a wedding a few weeks ago, last wedding of the year. The bride is the niece. No, she's the niece of Elise Lane, the owner of Scarlet Lane. / head brewer of Scarlet Lane. And so Scarlet Lane brewed a beer special for the wedding. Not going to brew it for anything else any other time.
What was it called? What was it called?
Till Death Do We Part. It's a pale ale, hoppy and just amazing, like super drinkable for a hoppy pale ale. Surprisingly drinkable. Loved it. Also I hit up Scarlet Lane around Halloween. Because Jen and I, one of our past grooms is a brewer at Scarlet Lane, and also Jen's like best friend, who's that past groom's wife. She also works at Scarlet Lane in the bar. So we hit up Scarlet Lane, and our friend had brewed a special Halloween only beer, only available the weekend of Halloween, called Slasher, and it was supposed to taste like pumpkin seeds, like roasted pumpkin seeds, and it did, and it was delicious, and it was unlike any other beer I've ever had in my entire life, and I am thoroughly upset that you cannot still get that beer to this day because it was amazing. But
your first thought was like, this beer is so amazing, I have to make sure I get a growler of this for my best friend Dustin, so that he
were not selling growlers. It was only available on site.
What? You bring your own growler and you just start pouring them in.
But I guess since we're just now talking about Scarlet Lane Brewing, they also have created a seltzer, which is great because the seltzer is technically gluten-free, but they can't claim it's gluten-free because it's made in the same place where they brew all the beer, which has gluten. So it's not like a gluten-free facility. But the seltzer is called Helter Seltzer, and it is the best seltzer I've ever had. It's like a honey mead seltzer. It's really good, man. I might actually be getting into seltzers now because of this.
The seltzer thing is crazy right now.
I know, dude. You go to your local grocery store and like, you remember how they used to? There's like a while where, the grocery stores used to have craft beer sections where you could just like go and make your own 6-pack and stuff like that. Now the beer section is half seltzer, and then the other half is just like Bud Miller. And it's like, where did all my beautiful craft beers go? I'm back to going to bottle shops and liquor stores for craft beer.
Craft beer. We put those in the craft section by the cards. Figured they're for special occasions.
Yeah, they're right next to all the yarn and fabric,
glitter,
the Play-Doh, all the craft stuff.
Yeah, we figured craft beers is for crafting because no one seems to be buying them.
Yep, except for me, poor sad Steve Van Alk.
That now just drinks White Claw.
I mean, Eric Bloodaxe. I'm drinking Eric Bloodaxe, the greatest beer ever made.
Ooh.
Made right here in Indiana.
Eric was drinking White Claw when he made that.
White Claw didn't exist when this was made. Oh, Dustin.
Tell that to Eric.
Dustin. We got a great show. We got a big show.
We have so many shows.
First thing I wanted to talk to you about. You posted a photo a little while ago, and I made fun of you in the photo for good reason.
That's about every photo I ever post.
Have good reason. It was your Halloween photo, and I believe you're wearing a pair of dress shoes. And I believe the comment I made, because you were dressed up like Donald Trump for Halloween.
Trump. I was Diablo Trump.
I believe the comment I made was, that's fitting. Trump would wear moon shoes. Assuming you were wearing your Cole Haans because they had the ugly white sole thing that Cole Haans have. And you informed me that I was actually wrong. And it shook me my very, very soul to think that there is another shoe out there as ugly and horrendous as the Cole Haan, the moon shoe, the mullet of shoes, the business on the top, party on the bottom, Cole Haans.
Mm-hmm. That, which when you describe it like that, I'm like, God, that sounds amazing. Who wouldn't want that? But this was a clear case of very well targeted and over targeted Instagram and Facebook ads.
They got you. They got you, boy.
Oh, they got me hook, line, and sinker. So as longtime listeners of the show may know, I am a fanatic when it comes to comfortable wedding shoes. Shoes that get you through a 10 to 12 hour wedding and feel like you can run a marathon the next day.
They're called running shoes. Asics makes them. Nike makes them. Reebok makes them. Adidas makes them.
Unlike Steven, I like to shoot a wedding in style. So I prefer not to wear
No, you don't.
gym
Do not
shoes.
say you like to shoot a wedding in style when you're out there with the mullets.
A style that may be different than Steven's style of discomfort, stuffy.
A style that people would maybe say is acceptable in Europe, right?
Yet we live in Indiana, you Nutella-eating son of a bitch. But... So I have been a huge component of the shoe brand Cole Haan, which makes a Nike bottom, dress shoe, top shoe, and been wearing those for the last probably 8 years or so. And then recently this year, I switched to a company that you might recognize the name because your grandparents wear them.
Which is exactly what I thought when I saw you in these shoes. It looks like something a grandfather or Donald Trump would wear. Someone whose grandfather age but has a son who's younger than me. So,
So this company is called Hush Puppies, and they are making a brand shift into the younger generation like myself. Us millennials, us 20-year-olds. And So yeah, they sent me a pair of the brown shoes to try out, and I loved them so much I bought them in black as well.
Oh, you got the browns?
I got them in brown and black, and yeah, they're super comfortable. They've got the internal sock thing, so like if you don't want to wear socks, you don't have to. I'm not that young and hip,
disgusting.
I know.
That is disgusting.
I like to wear socks with my shoes, even when it has.
Think about the shoe stink, the foot stink coming off of those bad boys at the end of a wedding day. You know, with a sock, you pull the sock off and you throw that in the laundry, and you wash it out and you're all good. But with no sock, just straight in the shoe, now that stank is all trapped in there. It's all over your feet too. Like the sock acts as a buffer between the shoe and your foot, trapping stank.
A foot condom.
Yeah, it traps stank and keeps the stank from getting too much on your foot and also too much on your shoe. But when you take the sock away, there's no stank buffer. And now, like, your shoes stink, your feet stink, everything just stinks all the time.
Mm-hmm. So I wear a buffer between myself and all of my clothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've been wearing a buffer recently called a mask on my face. And could I tell you, if I told you my breath stinks? And I'm fairly certain it's not just me. I think everyone's breath might just stink all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely made me conscious of burping.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you drink a beer and then you put a mask on. Whew.
Yeah, it's pleasant. It's like getting buy one, get one free beers.
Oh, no. You know what I found to be even worse than a beer, though? But this is possibly just because this happens sometimes. Because you're eating, you have a soda, like a Coca-Cola. You burp way more than you think after you have a soda. Like, I don't even register that I'm burping until I put the mask on to start shooting again, and then I just smell it inside, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is disgusting, and it's horrible. But if I just eat and I don't have a soda, if I have like a water or something healthy, no stank. No stank erupting out. So, gosh, it has really made me question everything I do in life.
Mm-hmm. So what I've done is I've attached a straw to my mask that I run down around my neck, so I'm breathing from behind me through my mask and exhaling out. Only when I burp.
I've just been doing yoga so I can bend all the way over, and now when I have to burp, I just bend all the way over, stick my face into my own asshole, and I burp right in there. So then people just think it was a fart.
Such a good visual. Yeah. Such a good visual. Anyways, on that note, let's move on to Steve's looking for a new office chair. This, folks, is what I like to call our newest segment called Steve Sits Down. Steve sits down. Steve's got to sit because he's a sitter.
It's actually it's a series of segments I wanted to talk about called Steve is an Old Man Battling Massive RSI Issues. So ever since I have taken over all of Jen's stuff, what it mostly means is I'm editing a lot more, and I'm editing more on my iMac instead of on my MacBook Pro. So I'm using a mouse a lot more at a desk. And I've just found myself... just murdering these mice at my desk. But I found myself using a mouse a lot more, and I just started getting like pain in my back, and I started getting pain in my wrist and pain in my neck, and so I had to go on a journey, and I had to buy the like squishy things for the keyboard, so you have like wrist support for like your mouse and your keyboard. I'm holding them up so you can see Dustin on the video. It won't be helpful for people listening, but like those little squishy pads, I assume most people know what they are. Never had to use that before in my entire life. It actually took me a while to even find out like that there was something like this online. Because my first thought, as somebody who's never suffered from maybe I could make something for myself. Not thinking, oh yeah, maybe there's millions of people who suffer from this. I was like, maybe I could get like some wood and fashion a little thing to support my wrist to hold it up.
Maybe I should fashion some wood to my desk, says the Amish man.
So then also bought a standing desk. technically not a standing desk. It's a standing desk converter. But it's technically also not bought for me. I bought it for Jen because she's also having problems because she's also working at an iMac now most of the time, like at a desk position. And so I got her a standing desk converter. It sits on top of your normal desk, and then you put your computer and everything on it.
It's called a Veridesk.
It's no. It's not. I'm pretty certain it's not. But it's got like a little button you press and it goes up and down. It's nice.
It's like one of the main brands of standing desk.
Yes, I know, but this is a standing desk converter. They're like different than standing desks.
Well, Veridesk makes a converter. It's like a thing that goes on your desk.
It's not that. I'm pretty certain it's not that. If it's a very popular one, then it's probably too expensive. The idea was I was getting Jen a standing desk converter, and then eventually we might just upgrade her to a standing desk if she likes this and it works out for her. But I didn't want to spend the kind of money that standing desk cost when for like a quarter of the price you get a standing desk converter. So I thought we'd dip a toe in. And then after I bought that for her, I was like,
how does the toe feel? How does the toe feel?
It feels great. She seems to like it a lot. As soon as I did that, though, I was like, oh, you know what? This iMac is actually too low for me. I need the iMac higher. Mm-hmm. So I started looking for things I didn't want like a standing desk like I got for her, just because of money and COVID. And so I was just looking for like things that would raise the iMac like a few inches. And finally I just looked over at the bookshelf next to me. This is terrible. And I was like, oh, look, there's that massive theology book that I was gifted by my Bible study leader person when I graduated college. And so now that massive theology book that I've never read is serving me in ways that I don't think the writer ever intended it to serve people in. It is now holding up my iMac. So it's a few inches higher, and my neck pain has gone away. But I also
a huge difference.
I also had to buy a new chair, because the chair I had wouldn't lift high enough, so I wasn't sitting high enough for the desk, which is part of the reason why I started getting all the wrist pain and stuff. And I just wanted to share some stuff I found with you, Dustin, when I was looking for some chairs, some Amazon reviews. So,
review me, Steve.
Yeah. So I don't know. Well, I guess they're not technically reviews. They're questions and answers. So looking at some different chairs, and somebody asked this question: how thick is the seat cushion in the middle, not including the wings, and how wife is it? And
and how wife is it, Steve?
Yeah, and the number one answer was, it is fairly thick. I've had it for a few months and it has not felt worn down. It is a pretty good chair, so making it your wife could seem reasonable if you're into that.
Did you order it?
Yeah. The next thing I saw was question: can you sit in it? Answer: nope, it's not made for sitting in. Think of it like the obelisk in 2001: A Space Odyssey. You can invite friends and family over to stare at it and make grunting noises. All hail the high back chair. And finally, the last one: how big is the seat? And the answer was, it likes big butts and it cannot lie. You other chairs can't deny. When a worker walks in with a little bit of weight and a round thing to satiate, my hydraulics get sprung.
Some people are way too creative.
Oh, yeah, and I love it, man. I absolutely love it. It made me having RSI issues and having to buy all this stuff during the middle of COVID when we have no money. A little bit better. A little bit better, you know?
At least we have this podcast. Keeps the lights on.
Yeah. Yeah, doesn't it? Oh, Dustin, I wanted to talk about something weird that has popped up, and it's kind of election related.
The new MacBooks?
No. This guy posted in a random Facebook group about photography SEO, and he just said, reminder, get and reserve your Parler app username. My preferred username on Parler was already gone. What do you think about that, Dustin?
What's Parler app? For those of us who are like living in a black hole of social media, don't even do our own social media. Parlor. I assume Parlor is like a haircutting app for those who want to go to the parlor.
I have not been on Parlor, so I can't tell you 100% what it is. What I know from what people are posting about it on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook is apparently people were upset that their tweets, Facebook posts, and other stuff about election fraud were being flagged as untrue because they are untrue. And they were upset about this and said they wanted a platform where free speech was accepted. And it just so happens there was a company called Parler which created an app that doesn't censor people. And well, no, like the whole driving force of the app is that they don't censor people. It's free speech, unlike Twitter and Facebook. And so a lot of right-wing nut jobs, I think is the professional term for them, have left Twitter and gone to Parler, where they won't be censored. And if you look at the Wikipedia entry for what Parler is, it says it's the #1 social site for neo-Nazis, KKK members, and Saudi nationals. So it's a fantastic place, I assume. And it's also the #1 place for Republicans, as you might guess, based on the fact that it's full of Nazis and people who are in the KKK.
I was going to say it sounds like the #1 place to go for information that's definitely true and factual and 100% reliable. So I mean, some might say that's the place to go for your news in the morning.
So this guy was saying you got to get on Parler and you got to reserve that name because this could take off. And what I'm going to say here on our podcast is, please, please, please don't ever go to a place full of Nazis and KKK members to reserve your username. Because even if that helps boost your SEO a little bit, if any one of your potential clients sees you there and they are not a racist themselves already, they will never hire you.
But
ever. Ever.
If you do go to Parler, I highly encourage you to look up the username @TheRealStephenVanElk.
If you do go to Parler, please start a username that is Dustin and Corinne Photography, you dickhead.
@TheRealStephenVanElk. There's some very supportive content on there.
Gosh. Oh my gosh. That was another thing somebody was saying was, well, if you don't go there and get your username, then somebody else could just snatch your username up and start posting stuff there in support of the things they're saying. And it's like, yeah, and no one's going to care if you're not actually there. Nobody wants you to be there. Nobody. Oh gosh. Hey, look, here's a message from your guys' favorite #1 dad in America, Steve Van L. Sorry, Dustin. Sorry, everybody else listening who is also a dad in America. Don't get on Parler, boys and girls.
Parlay is all I know from the famous Jack Sparrow movies.
Yeah.
So it's like a pirate-themed social media platform?
No, it is not. Unless pirates are racist.
Oh, matey, we aren't racist. We'll steal and swindle any old ship.
Thank you for that, Dustin. Thank you so much. While you're at it, make sure you go ahead and join the KKK so you can reserve your robes so nobody else gets them first.
I just want free masks. Just trying to keep America safe, Stephen.
Sign up for the neo-Nazis so you can get your swastika face mask with your customized Dustin and Corinne photography on the front.
That's right.
Right?
Straight from Vistaprint.
Oh gosh, I don't know what to do these days. People are just out there giving really, really bad advice. And the thing that was the most upsetting was the person who posted this
Isn't
was the
that
person
what we do
running,
on this podcast?
Yeah. But no, they're giving bad advice for reals. Not for
Isn't
funsies.
that
The person who posted this, they are the person who runs the like SEO Facebook group that I was looking at, and the group has like 10,000 photographers in it. And I was just like, why is anyone still here after this? Why? Oh,
all I can think, Steven, is they are very into Jack Sparrow movies. And they're like, parlay? Parlay means we're all safe.
I'm glad your whole idea of parlay, which is not what this app is even called, comes from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's how the dots get connected, Steve. It's called marketing.
And how much has Pirates of the Caribbean paid us to have you rope them into a racist app online?
Paid us or paid me?
Paid you. Sorry, my bad.
I signed an NDA. I can't discuss it.
Oh, Dustin.
Steven.
You wanted to talk about those M1s.
Yeah, it's a new processor that Apple...
It's a new BMW.
Dropped. I liked it. I think my favorite little bit on this, because I was like really into this, thinking about how we're going to discuss it. And then I was watching Late Night with James Corden the other night, and he asks the head musician, like, how his weekend went, and he was like, I was up late, like, watching the Apple's big announcement, and James Corden was like, oh, what did they announce this week? And he's like, did they finally do the Apple Glass, like Apple glasses or whatever? And he's like, no, they came out with chips. And James is like, chips? Like, to eat, like Apple potato chips? And he's like, no, like chips.
Yeah.
They're gonna put them. And James Corden's like,
Is that what James Corden was like?
No, he was like, so everyone else would explain the story as Apple came out with new computers, disguised as
who would wait? What?
Every other person in the world.
Did they come out with new computers?
Yes.
All I've heard about were the chips
that are in. Can you buy the chips separately? Chips sold separately? Is that a thing, Steve?
Yeah, you can buy the chips individually. They come in a case that looks a lot like a MacBook or a Mac Mini.
Opening it is challenging, but
it is. You might need a hammer. It's kind of like a nut, like a walnut or an acorn. You got to break into it to get the goods.
Cracker. You know what I mean?
You gotta nut crack your MacBooks.
Nut crack your MacBook.
Yeah.
Just look where the M1 chip is before you nut crack it.
Mm-hmm.
So Steven is actually working on some wedding photo hangover decals that you can overlay on top of your MacBook, so you know exactly where the nut cracking should take place to unlock the full potential of the chip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And those chips are good. You just eat them then.
Yep. It speeds you up. Metabolism, brain power, poop power, the whole bang.
It'll get you a lot faster. It'll get you there, you know? Dustin, we also did you have more you wanted to say about the M1s? I mean, they make things they make the apps go faster. It's a very fast chip, and it makes things go fast. And people like things that go fast, and I like things that go fast, and you like things that go fast. We're both very fast boys. Vroom vroom.
Vroom vroom, Stevie. We go fast, you go fast. M1 chip. I don't know where we came up with the M1. Somebody named Mikey, he made it. We put it in. We said it works. Mikey likes it. We'll run with it. Mikey was like, I used to work on the iPads. They transferred me to the MacBook Air division. I put the iPad in the MacBook Air. It worked. We now have faster computers. It's amazing.
When they did was they were comparing the M1 chips to the Intel chips, and as far as like so every single app you use has a thing where it has to reserve memory, and then it has to let go memory, and like that's like basically how everything runs. Yes, yeah, and it does it in very short bursts. And it was just saying the Intel chip, just like a simple like thing like that, where it reserves memory, lets go memory, was taking, I think it was 16 nanoseconds, and the M1s were 14 times faster or something like that, or maybe they took 14 nanoseconds. Anyways, it was ridiculously fast by comparison. And then they said an M1 chip emulating an Intel chip so that you can run, like that's how you would have to run like apps that were made for Intel chips on it, was 30 nanoseconds as opposed to 60. So the M1 chips pretending to be an Intel chip are twice as fast as just normal Intel chips. So
I've been
it's
watching
gonna speed
YouTube
up everything.
Of people like doing video stuff, like video processing on the new MacBook Air, and it's just like freaking crazy.
Yeah, the video processing is super fast, and those new MacBook Airs, like, what are the GPUs they even have in it? Do they have GPUs, or is the GPU like on the M1 chip, like a virtual GPU?
It's on the M1 chip.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought, and it's still faster than my ridiculously huge iMac I have in front of me.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and then speaking to someone who just bought one like 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, I was reading that somebody said that the new MacBook Air was faster running Lightroom faster than their iMac Pro was. And I was just like, oh, that's great. And I was like, so did Adobe purposely make Lightroom super slow this last month to try to get everybody to upgrade to M1s?
Right.
Are Adobe and Apple working together? Are they in cahoots? Hey, side note, has your Lightroom been extremely f***ing slow? Because mine has been. I tried to cull a wedding this week, and it took me like 8 hours when normally it would take 2 hours. And it's just like the photos. I couldn't even arrow from one photo to the next. It was so bad. I might have to start using Photo Mechanic, or I don't know what the hell. What are those culling things? They're culling software.
Bespoke Tone. That's typically the software.
Not right now. Not right now.
Freedom Edit?
You have to wait until Lightroom gets fast again, and then you can hire Bespoke Tone. Freedom Edits, I'm still waiting on I got my first video back from them, and it needed like a few changes made to it, so I sent it back to them with those changes requested. Haven't even heard back, like,
and they were like,
changes will be made.
Steve.
No, this is Freedom Edits.
They got editors like Steve there. They're like, what do you mean? Our edits are better than these changes.
I'm sorry. Is this personal? Because last time you had me edit something, I told you to f off when you told me changes.
I don't know what you're talking about, Steve. I don't know what you're talking about.
I was like, send this straight to your client. See what they say about it.
Put it in front of their faces. Click play.
I don't want to hear you tell me to speed ramp one more damn thing in this video, Dustin.
I want the speed ramps are on a different highway that's not part of the Van Elk ecosystem.
I hate speed ramping so much.
Steve's the guy on the road that drives like it's where I grew up. I'm very old, so most of our listeners are very young. But we had something called Sunday drivers where I live, and Sunday drivers was that person who never drove during the week because they were retired, but they would go to church on Sundays. So they would be out on the road and sort of like trying to remember how to drive, that senior citizen driver. And Steven is what we like to call a Sunday driver. His videos are nice and slow, safe, steady, not a lot of moving, flashy.
Yeah. Dustin, when you come to me for an edit, it's just the two of us right in nowhere, spending someone's hard-earned pay, your hard-earned pay. Let's be clear about that. The two of us Sunday driving, not arriving, on our way back home.
Driving, not arriving, on our way back home to nowhere.
Do you know what song that is?
No.
Oh.
You don't.
Hey, listeners, if you know what song that is. Right in. The first person who does, Dustin's going to send you something. I don't know what it is, but he'll send you something.
It's going to be screenshots of Steve Van Elk at Parlor. It's the best. It's the best.
I'll send the first person who writes in can name that song. I will send them a wedding photo hangover koozie,
It's
whatever they're called.
pronounced koozie, Stephen.
You got to be in the U.S. though. Okay.
Sorry,
That's weddingphotohangover@gmail.com.
folks.
It's expensive. I shipped to Australia once already.
Sorry, kangaroo eating meat folk.
Oh, Dustin. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Did you get one of those new iPhoner boners?
I ordered one, a new iPhone. I was on the fence about it this go around, and then I decided why not. And Chase, I bank with Chase. For those of you out there who are looking to hack my bank account, and Chase.
So Chase and Pirates of the Caribbean both supporting this episode.
Steve,
how much did Hush Puppies pay you?
Steve, it's called integrated marketing. I'm trying to work a few things into the episode. Just flow with it.
So when I think of Hush Puppies, I don't think of shoes. I think of those balls of dough at Long John Silver that you just know are going to give you a heart attack if you eat them. And that's what I think of now when I think of your shoes. I think of dough balls.
You can always think of me and think of dough balls, but fried, golden, and delicious. But I don't remember where I was going. Oh, so Chase was running a deal for business account holders where they were giving you 25% off Apple products this month.
Whoa! Wow!
Yeah. Well, it's kind of tricky. So it's not 25% off. They are giving you 25% more if you use your Chase credit card points to make a purchase at apple.com.
All right, let's get to the point. Did you buy it?
So anyways, I bought an iPhone using this Chase promotion, which got me like $300 off the new iPhone.
Did the iPhone come in yet?
Has not come in yet, because I assume being that I bought it through this promotion, I'm probably like bottom of the barrel, because it said like 4 to 6 weeks, so I'll probably get it end of the month.
Which one did you get? Did you get the Pro, the Pro Max, the Mini?
I got the 12 Pro Max extra gravy, I think, with cheese on top.
So, Dustin, if you scroll up in our show notes, I did include something about the new iPhones. Listener of the show and friend of the show. Let's say friend of the show.
Crocodile Hunter.
Josh Withers, he bought one of the new iPhone 12s, and he did a little comparison. So he has an iPhone 6, an iPhone SE, an iPhone XS, and an iPhone 12 Pro, and he went out and did a bunch of photos with them.
Eyes. He has just straight eyes.
And he has straight up eyes as well. And he went out and he did a bunch of photos with them, and then he also borrowed his wife's phone. I forget what she has, but he wanted to test out like the night mode and see how much better it had gotten. And I think his wife has like an iPhone 10, 11, somewhere in there. And so it was like the only other one that could do night mode. So he wanted to check that out. It's the iPhone 11, not Pro. It's the same camera I have. We'll include a link to the blog post, but Dustin, have you looked this over? Have you looked at the photos? What do you think, bud?
I had looked at it. I thought it was for Josh not being a photographer. I thought it was a beautifully crafted, technically specific, artfully designed blog post. But yeah, I saw them and I was like, not gonna lie, not the biggest fan of the 12, but it is what it is. I kind of lent my preferences tended to fall based on what he posted towards like the SE.
Yeah, boy. Oh my gosh, Dustin, do we agree on something? Do you and me agree?
But all of his stuff was like landscape stuff. He didn't really do, other than like this really poorly lit selfie of himself, didn't really do like too much portraiture work, which is 9 times out of
about what he should shoot before he went out to do this. And I was like, make sure you do some selfies. And I was like, and try to do some with Rembrandt lighting. so that you have like shadow and light on the face, so you can actually get a good idea of how it handles like the mismatch.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to take credit for that bad lighting decision. I steered him in a incorrect path. I fear. For your eyes, I personally love the Rembrandt lighting.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. But like the normal portrait modes that he posted down below, I think the 12 and the XS were great. They are a flatter file, which is going to give you more latitude in editing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I will be more than happy with the 12, especially because the last month I've been doing a lot more video work using my phone. I bought one of those little iPhone gimbals to do. Yeah, I've just been having a lot of
12 now. I mean, do you even need a gimbal? You can just walk with that baby.
Well, and so that's how it actually started. I was doing videos, and there would be a few things that were just a little too tight for me to get with a camera, and I just quickly grabbed it with my phone handheld. And
you grabbed it with your phone handheld and popped it on over to the 0.5x, the wide angle lens.
Yeah.
Oh, and you were like, oh, gotta love that distortion. It's so sweet.
Well, it was for video, and it was like, this is fine. This is great. And the in-camera HDR, where I like see the sky, see the shadow detail, is fantastic. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to start doing this for all of my videos. And so I bought one of those new, I don't know if it's a Ronin or whatever, DJI's little like phone gimbal thing, their newest version of that. And I've just been rocking iPhone videos for all my real estate stuff, and realtors can't tell the difference. I get them done so quick, and to the point where like I'm starting to feel guilty because I'm charging the same amount.
Oh, you should not feel guilty for that. You should just keep charging the same amount and feel good about it, because who cares?
I don't feel guilty in the sense that I feel like I'm pulling one over on them. I feel like there's room now for me if I wanted to offer some sort of like a photo video combo deal and give them a price break if they do both services, only because the reason I never liked pushing video in my real estate workflow was because of the amount of time it added to both the at the house and on the back end. And now with doing it with an iPhone, I can shoot a whole house in like under 10 minutes.
So nice, isn't it?
And I just continuously record. I don't even like start and stop. I just flow through, and then I go to the DJI app, and it like spits me out like a little video of it all. And then I just like add music on the computer when I get home and maybe tweak it a little bit here and there. And I'm like, done.
Oh, I love Lazy Dustin. Lazy Dustin is the best Dustin by far.
Welcome to 2020.
Oh man, that's terrific. Josh also, in his blog post, he did a review of the video stuff down at the bottom. He doesn't really write any words saying how he feels about anything, but he just threw up a bunch of the videos on Vimeo. And I gotta say, when it comes to the video stuff, I do think I like the iPhone 12 better than the SE and the 6 and the XS.
Well, that's really where the big push was with this one is, and you can see that if you watch their keynote. The video capabilities of it is really the sort of the direction they were going with it, as you could tell by them showing people freaking mounting it to like those racing drones and doing like some sweet drone stuff with it.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, I'm curious as to what will happen because they still haven't put out the update that's supposed to allow you to shoot in RAW.
That's probably the only reason I bought it, if I'm being honest, is when they talked about this. And they did it in that like Apple fashion where they're like, we realized that we have all of these layers of data. And if we pull those layers apart, we have technically what you photographers might call a raw image. By allowing you to manipulate those layers, it's a raw file. And if you order the iPhone, we may or may not give you that raw capability in the future.
It always sucks. I would say never buy anything, any piece of technology or hardware with the idea that there could be an update issued to it, which will unlock something that you want, because more often than not, it doesn't happen. But if there is one company that I think might be able to make it happen, I would say as long as it's not AirPower, it's probably Apple, right?
AirPower.
Still waiting for that AirPower to come out. Still haven't seen it anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now that was something this is going to sound bougie. You're going to judge me. I know.
You're already judged, bud. Don't worry about it.
It's a prejudged podcast episode. I come in judged, but we made the decision this year to have Christmas lights put on our house.
By someone else?
Yes.
That sounds awesome. How do you do that? I want to do that. I hate putting up Christmas lights. Do they come back and take them down later? Because that's the real thing.
Yep. They come back.
Because you could put them up like now when it's kind of nice out. But when it's time to take them down, it's the end of December, maybe beginning of January if you're a little lazy with it. And that's the cold winter. That's cold times. Right now it's like supposed to be in the 50s tomorrow. That's a breeze hanging up some lights in. But when it's like -10 and there's ice all over the place, whew.
Yeah, so this a lot of landscaping companies, it's something they do during this time of the year. So our neighbor was actually the one researching it, and she was telling my wife about it, and and she said she like signed up or whatever, and if she referred us, we each got like a discount.
I was really hoping the way that was going to go is your neighbor was talking about it. She's like, I haven't signed up yet, but they only have one spot left. And then you and Corinne just vultured that last spot. Swooped right in.
No, it was kind of like, if our neighbors are going to light their house and our other neighbor lights their house already, I'm like, I feel like I'm kind of the Scrooge of lights. I'm like, I'm not a big fan of it, but if we're going to do it, let's do it. So we did it.
Oh, you're going to Clark Griswold it? Were you like, whatever you normally do for lights times 10 for my house?
Well, so we met with another, like our normal landscape guy who helps us out with our landscaping. So we met with him too, just to get like a second opinion or like a second quote. And he was like, yeah, I would do it. And he's like, this house would just dominate the neighborhood. And I'm like, whoa. I just want it to look nice. Like, I don't want it to be able to be seen from the next city. And he's like, the things I would do with your house if given lights and power. And I'm like, okay, I think we're going to go with the other
airplanes down. Yeah. I don't want my house to be visible from space, but
he was just getting a little too overly excited because we have like a really cool roof line. And I could tell that he was like, I'm going to zigzag different multicolored channel lights all across that roof. I'm going to let Santa see you from the next county over. And I'm like, okay, we're going to go with the other guys to just put them on your gutters. But
you're so terrible.
But anyways, where I was going with this, because you were talking about AirPower, is that so they were putting the lights up this week, and I walk outside to like talk to him, and they're like putting the lights up, and he's like, so where do you want us to plug these in? And I'm like, excuse me? He's like, plug the lights in, like power. And I'm like, oh, no. Like, I was told specifically that your service included its own power. And he like looked at me like with this look, and I'm like, you are not taking power from my house, sir. Like, this is your thing. Lights on the house, that's okay. No one said anything about electricity. And
did you come here to siphon my power away from me?
I was like, what are you, a Democrat? This is a Republican-run house. Get your own power.
Okay, enough politics.
Okay. But I was just like, I told him you can go ahead and just plug it into the neighbor's house since you're doing their house too. Just run one continuous power strand. And he was joking. He's like, oh, yes, I see on the order form that you ordered the AirPower lights.
Wow, all that legwork just to get there.
Just to get there. Sorry. But
typically I'd cut something like that from the episode, but I'm going to leave that one in. I'm going to let you flounder. I'm going to let the whole thing play out just to get to there, where it's just like, oh yeah, the most loosely tied in thing I could imagine. Barely even a joke here, but yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, but we have Christmas lights now.
Hey, speaking of Christmas, you did Santa sessions, didn't you? How'd that go?
It went great. It went good. It was had a small miscalculation in my financial thought process with it, but otherwise,
what does that mean? You need to go into detail right now.
So last year we did Santa sessions for the cheap. We did it real cheap. We did a shit ton of them. Not as many as I would have liked to have done, but we did a lot of them in one weekend. And it was great. We made a little bit of money, not as much as I'd like. So this year I doubled our prices, but I spread it out over 2 weekends. Mm-hmm. And so we had the same amount of people sign up, but we were making double the amount of money. But what I didn't factor is how much I had paid. I had kind of forgotten what I had paid Santa last year.
Speaking of which, you still owe me money for shooting with you the other week. So, yeah.
Just got to send an invoice to the bookkeeper, bud.
Send an invoice? You hired me. I was a work for hire situation. What is this? Invoice me. I was not an independent contractor that you brought. Oh, gosh. I will send an invoice. Jeez, what is this?
I outsource everything, including my check writing. Everybody else from the shoot sent an invoice.
I know for a fact that's not true because the only other person at the shoot is someone who told me multiple times, you have a I'll do this for you, you do this for me relationship with, where you don't ever send each other invoices.
Well, if you sent me as much work as Luke sends me, then we could be on that same relationship too. Logan's invoice. I got Logan's invoice this week. You weren't there when Logan was there. But Logan's invoice didn't even have his address. It just said his name. It was an email, name, date, amount, and that was it. And I texted him back. I'm like, Logan, my bookkeeper got your invoice. There's no address. Can I just redeposit the money back into my account? And he's like, oh, forgot the. I'm like, Logan, you went to Ball State, 4 years, degree. Did they not teach like invoices there?
They did not. I also went to Ball State 4 years, got a degree.
That was a subtle jab at you. Subtle jab at you.
It was not subtle.
I know you have DeSabo or one of those Pixify.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have invoice things on there.
Maybe. I don't know.
Or my bookkeeper
Let's see how much longer I'm on Pixify.
You know, honeybook.com/wedding photo hangover is always a great place to just take a peek, kick the tires.
So Jen and I had a problem on Pixify this year where it stopped processing our credit cards, like when people tried to pay with a credit card. And at first it was just like if they refreshed the page, then it would have let them pay. But huge. That feels skeezy and gross. That feels like you're getting scammed. And then all of a sudden one day it just stopped working altogether. Just people would click the page and it'd just be an error. And we submitted a ticket like the very first time it happened. It took 6 months for the issue to get fixed. 6 months.
HoneyBook just rolled out a new feature that I'm excited about, where it's integrated with Zoom, so you can schedule Zoom calls right through HoneyBook.
No, that's terrible. Who wants to use Zoom?
I know.
Real professionals use Skype, says the person talking to you over Skype right now.
I would disagree with that, being that every time somebody's asked if they want to do a video chat, and I say, yeah, what's your Skype? They're like, I'll send you a Zoom link. And I'm like, okay, that works.
Jen and I don't use Skype or Zoom links when we talk to clients. We use Google Meet because it's integrated into our Gmail, so we can just set up the calendar thing. And
I don't use Google Calendar. So.
We put in the calendar when the meeting's going to be, and we say create a Google Meet link, and then it emails the link to the client. It's beautiful. All of it's just done in like 1-2 seconds. Like just
it's essentially what HoneyBook's trying to do with their new scheduling calendar. It's like integrated with Google Cal and
Can you just
HoneyBook.
do email through HoneyBook? Like,
yeah,
you can.
And HoneyBook has a Gmail like plugin now, so you can see your HoneyBook stuff in your Gmail suite. It's getting crazy over there. It's almost like there's so many features. I haven't even taken the time to look at them all because they've been just pumping them out this year.
Oh yeah, pumping them out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're gonna love that if they're.
So
HoneyBook's gonna get you there. HoneyBook. Oh yeah.
You're gonna rub that honey all over your book.
Doesn't. I hate to be crass, but have you ever been fucked by a CRM? Because if I was gonna get fucked by one, I think HoneyBook, right? Am I right?
I don't know if you're right.
This episode of Wedding Photo Hangover brought to you by HoneyBook.
That's right. HoneyBook.com/wedding photo hangover.
Oh, this is how we lose that. This is how you lose all that sweet, sweet HoneyBook money you're getting.
Yes, all of it. All of it. It's paying for my kids' education. Anyways, Santa Sessions, great. I encourage everyone to try it out. It is so what I would encourage you, though, is to do it just 2 days, but 2 different weekends. At least with the pandemic the way it is, it was a little challenging because we had so many people cancel at the last minute due to like a possible preschool exposure or school exposure or workplace exposure. And so it was just a lot of last minute, can I reschedule for the following weekend kind of situations. And we were paying Santa hourly. And so there were like some chunks of time where he was just sitting there and we didn't have anyone.
Just in that Kurt Russell sexy Santa suit.
And so he's just kind of raking it in. And I'm like,
did you take advantage of that? Were you like, hey, you remember how we did the shots by the car last year? We're going to do some more shots like that since we got some downtime, buddy.
Yeah, I'm like, where's the car?
Where's the car, man?
But my kid, I mean, I was a little bitter at it, at like how much I was paying him to just sit there. But my kids, like this year, did really great with him. Last year, they were terrified. This year, they were like playing tag with Santa in my garage. And so that was kind of cute.
You basically paid to have a babysitter.
Had a Santa babysitter. The most expensive babysitter I've ever paid for. Yeah, that was what we had going on. Santa was babysitting my kids.
Hey, do we want to talk about COVID stuff? We've mentioned it a few times. I've gotten 2 contacts this week from one from a client, one from a family member, both of whom I've had direct contact with over the last week, letting me know they've tested positive for COVID. So
now
that's
Steve has
fantastic. Yeah, the COVID STD. Because I have sex with family members and clients all the time. So that's how you get STDs, Dustin.
Take that soundbite and we're going to put that on your, what is it, Parlay
HoneyBook. Straight on the HoneyBook.
Straight to your HoneyBook.
You could have sex with these people too if you book through HoneyBook. Sweet, sweet ass books. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, baby.
Man, I want one of those Eric Blood axes.
Oh, I did drink some whiskey before this too. It's a holiday party over here because Joe Biden.
At your house.
No, he's not at my house. I wish he'd come to my house. That'd be cool, man. That'd be real cool. Meet the president, a real president. Wink.
Wink.
Okay.
Or like a real vice president. Wink.
Have you shot any weddings where people have later found out they had COVID at them? I know you're going to go to a restaurant the other night with somebody for like a business meeting sort of thing or whatever, and your reservation got canceled because one of the chefs had COVID. But
no, all of our weddings have been super safe. Everyone has a filtration device put in their throat at the weddings, And so they don't have to wear masks, apparently, but it filters everything as it spews at each other on the dance floor. So no confirmed or reported cases of COVID at weddings.
The filter actually looks like a bag of dicks that they're eating. Is that right?
Speaking of dicks, these photos that you've been posting of just unfortunate things that people get caught in these situations, they pretty much make my day.
Yeah. You know, if people have more photos where it looks
picture
like
if like you and I,
dicks.
if you and I had like an actual wedding photo hangover recording studio that we met at once a week, and we recorded this podcast in person, and we were like that celebrity like. I imagine those photos would be blown up poster size on the walls around like where we record.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Because we like dicks, right?
When you break down the psychological aspect of it, it really sounds disgusting.
Does it? I have one. You have one. Why wouldn't we like them? Like, I like mine. Do you like yours? I assume you do. Like, come on.
But I don't like yours.
You don't know that.
Don't knock it till you've tried it.
Yeah, bud. Come on. Oh, it's time to go to Q&A. This has gotten way too sexual.
Yeah. Let's do some Q&A.
But Steve. Q&A.
From
my wife.
Canon Martha on Reddit. How to handle unsatisfying work from your second photographer. Hi. I photographed a wedding with a second photographer I hadn't worked with before, and I was pretty disappointed with the photos I received, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to move forward. The second I had planned to work with had to back out 2 weeks in advance, so I was left scrambling. This person I hired instead had a good portfolio, second in primary shooting experience, and confirmed she had plenty of flash knowledge as well. The wedding involves several locations, and I sent her a detailed timeline with addresses when I hired her, and she confirmed everything looked good. I also texted her 2 days beforehand to confirm details and starting location. We were going to be at separate locations as the bride and groom were getting ready separately, but I'd requested we meet briefly beforehand so I could say hi, pass along a card, sync cameras, etc., etc. When I got to our agreed upon spot, she was running behind. This meant I wouldn't have had sufficient time to get to my starting location if I waited for her. So I placed a card in the mailbox of her location and headed to where I was starting. 5 minutes after she was supposed to have begun shooting, she called me and said she'd accidentally gone to the church instead, which is 35 minutes away from the starting location. I was a bit frustrated by this because my text had clearly said she'd begin shooting at blank address. And I felt awkward because I then had to tell the bride, I guess this message was not relayed to the groom like I thought, because later he called me asking where the photographer was. So I had to explain again that she had gone to the wrong location based on timestamps. She began shooting about 50 minutes after she was originally supposed to start shooting. There are no getting ready photos of the guys or any photos of them at the house because as soon as she got there, they had enough time to do some formals outdoors and then had to head out. When we finally met up at the ceremony location, she said nothing about having been late. The timeline of the day was so packed we didn't get much time to sit down and talk, so we powered through the ceremony and some portraits quickly. During the reception, there were additional issues. I was relying on her reception candidates to get more photos of more guests dancing and mingling. Based on the pictures I received, her flash only went off about a tenth of the time, meaning the other 90% of the reception photos are incredibly dark and in a lot of cases unusable. I'm really disappointed for all the reasons listed above. My contract says the second is expected to provide photos in a similar quality to what is expected of an experienced professional photographer, and I don't feel like I got that. I'm also disappointed for my couple who paid extra just to add on this second photographer and also paid for an additional hour of getting ready photo time and have now missed getting ready moments of the guys. I'm not sure the best way forward. Do I pay less than the contracted amount due to lateness? Do I pay less due to reception photos being unusable? If so, how do I approach those issues? Do I pay the full amount and just move on? Also, the couple took her lateness well, but I still feel it reflects badly on my business and impacted their coverage. Should I offer something to them?
This is like a real question.
It's a really, really long question.
I mean, it's a good one, but it's like a real one.
Yeah. So what you gonna do, Destin? Hey, let's answer it this way. Let's say you're doing like a shoot with somebody, and maybe they were in charge of something for you on the shoot. Let's say, just off the top of my head, audio, and let's say they f***ed the audio up like a little bit, and like it wasn't like the whole day was f***ed. It's just like maybe like one or two things from the day were f***ed. Like, how would you approach that hypothetical situation that may or may not have happened?
Great question. I'd probably wait until I ask them to work with me again and then not pay them.
Oh, that's what the whole invoice thing was about.
Really get them back after the fact.
You wait like 2 years later, then try to hire them again, and then just not pay them for the work that time. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
No, I think in all reality, though, like with this scenario, I would probably do...
Scenario,
Stephen. It's French. Look it up. I would do like doctors do what's called like a post-mortem kind of talk after like a surgery that went wrong or a procedure that went wrong.
Oh, that's where they decide if you're going to lose your medical license.
Correct. So they do like a meeting.
That's not a fun thing.
Yeah, this wouldn't be fun. But just they kind of meet, all of your peers kind of discuss through like what you could have done differently, how maybe you made mistakes along the way. And so I maybe do something like that with this photographer before I paid them. I'd just be like, hey, I just kind of...
Yo, look, Betsy, it's me, Canon Martha.
Yo, Betsy!
And I'm just here to let you know I've convened a jury of our peers, and we will now talk about how you killed this wedding I hired you to shoot with me. Here are some photos that you took. As you can see, they're so dark because you killed the bride and groom. They're not even alive anymore.
And she goes, yo.
It was a murder. You murdered them.
Yo, Big Martha, you hired me, Betsy. I take a dark and moody photos. You want the dark and moody? I do the dark and moody. Dark and moody mean no flash. I do a couple flash because I don't really like the dark and moody, but you don't, Martha, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit.
I'm glad when you heard the name Betsy, like, Betsy Ross, the woman who made the American flag, your instinct was to run to a Russian accent. That's great.
I don't understand, Steve, why you think this is Russian.
Eastern European, sorry.
I am from Ukraine. I'm tired of people confusing our accents, Steven. We are our own people. Vladimir does not control us. Hail Russia.
Oh, it ends with a Hail Russia. Okay.
Does he listen to your podcast? It is top 20 now in the world.
Fair points, Betsasha.
You may call me Betsasha.
Oh, you know what? Canon Martha, I think the problem is the thing that makes this difficult to answer is that she did show up late. Mm-hmm. If she had just done a shitty job but she showed up on time, it's like, yeah, you just gotta pay her.
Maybe throw in a few extra pages in the bride and groom's album or something.
Yeah, but because she showed up late, she did miss 50 minutes of shooting. That might be worth having it because you were supposedly paying her per hour. Now, if you had just said base pay, this is what it costs for the day,
then you don't.
Yeah. But if you were paying her per hour, then I feel like you've got a real reason, or a real thing there to be like, yeah, no, we're not paying you that much or whatever. So
Maybe Martha. May I call you Martha? Break down your rate package for your second shooter based on
because of Martha, because Martha Washington. I was doing a whole founding of the Americas thing there, and you just had to go Eastern European with your accent. It made no damn sense.
That's what I think of when I think of Martha, Stephen.
What is this? Is this your Josh Withers accent now?
I don't have a Josh Withers accent. Cronky. All right. Maybe break out a second shooter contract that pays based on events. So you pay X for getting ready photos, X for ceremony, X for portraits, X for candids at the reception, X for table shots and details, and then you look at your little.
No. Better. Make the contract and have it be payable per usable photo.
That's what I'm saying.
No. You're saying per event from the day. I'm saying per usable photo. I expect 800 usable photos from my second shooter. If what they give me is 50 usable photos from the whole day, they get paid accordingly.
It's funny you say that, Steve. Okay, I've been in this business for like 12 years or more, and I've been saying that since I began. So when I started my career as a wedding photographer, I second shot a lot, as most do, and I had always joked with the guy I worked for because he tended to use my photos more than his own. So I would always joke that I think you should pay your second shooters based on the photos you use. So instead of paying me like a flat rate, at that time I was getting $150 a wedding, and I said, I think you should pay me $1 per picture.
Yeah.
And I was like, that would keep me from being lazy and keep me being creative and keep me from shooting things differently than you, because now my mindset has totally shifted. I'm not just here filling a role to shoot photos. I'm here to get paid per photo. So I'm like, okay, how can I get another creative photo? You might be turning in 10,000 photos at the end of the night, but you'd be getting paid more as a second shooter.
Oh, that sounds like a horrible system. I'm just going to say that.
I tried it out on the video side because I'd heard of videographers doing this. Not like the paid per photo thing, but
it's paid per second of usable footage. How many seconds of your footage made it into the final video, and what percentage of the video footage was that? I'm going to pay you based on that.
Not a bad idea. But I did bonuses based on who got the best shot of X. So like best cake shot, best ring shot, best portrait shot, best
You know what that would end up with though? It'd end up with you having 2 cake shots.
Nothing wrong with that.
2 portrait shots. There is something wrong with that, because typically your lead videographer will do like a wide shot, a close up, a pan, and like up and down. They'll do all that, so you'll have coverage of the cake. But now if you've created this system, now you're going to have that times 2. And you say, no, nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying that's a waste of my time going through those. I just want the lead videographer to do it.
Until you lose a card, Stephen Van Elk. Then you're like,
you shoot on Sony, you dipshit. Your Sonys can shoot to dual cards when you do video. Stop shooting to one card, you
this
idiot.
Wasn't my camera, my card. One of my second shooters never gave me the card from his Panasonic that he was shooting with. I told you about this. Why are you acting like you're all infuriated that it was like some Sony malfunction?
I'm infuriated. No, I'm not. I'm not infuriated about a Sony malfunction. I'm infuriated with Dustin McKibben, who has had the ability to shoot to 2 cards as long as I have known him and has never once done that, but is now complaining about people not doing that. If his Panasonic could shoot to 2 cards, which some of the Panasonics can when you're shooting video, you could have given him 2 cards Or he could have shot on his card and one of your cards.
Gladly would have.
And you could
he
have
lost
just said,
all
do
of
it.
his cards. He lost all of his cards. And
How does that happen?
A month and a half later to 2 months later, I think about 2 months now, I found them in the back of the van when I was cleaning the van out.
So he didn't lose them. You lost them, it sounds like.
They were in his pocket. He had them in a think tank like card wallet.
So you're going to go back and re-edit that video now?
No, but the bride and groom actually ironically just texted me yesterday asking if I had another angle or another shot that they could add into their like first dance, because we lost everything he had. And so
and you were like, I do.
Yeah.
You charge him more for it?
Now I'm finally like, I have the angle. But, yeah.
I love it. Beautiful, Dustin. Beautiful.
I don't remember where we're going with this. Oh, pay. Just don't pay this person. Moving on. It's a learning lesson. Say, you done up. I am not paying you. I am sorry, Betsy. I'm a Martha. It is Handmaid's Tale's time. Just be glad that you don't have to wear the red. Thank you and goodbye.
I would say it's a learning lesson, but it's not a learning lesson for the second shooter so much as it is for you. You pay them and then you never use them again. And if you feel like the bride and groom are maybe wanting those getting ready photos of the guys, which whoever wants getting ready photos of the guys, then you just give them an album. Yeah, just close-ups, all close-ups of like tie down.
Here, yeah. Add them in.
Photoshop a tie-in.
Make them black and white so colors are irrelevant.
Photoshop the groom's face and another groom's body from a different wedding.
Yeah.
All right.
Can we talk about something I fucked up?
Yeah, go for it.
So, with risk of getting in trouble, we did a wedding at some point this year. Could be recently, might not be, not sure. And I forgot to do groom portraits.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yep. No, I done screwed up. We were getting ready to do groom portraits, and then there was a moment before the ceremony where the bride wanted to do a letter reading situation where they like don't see each other, but they read a letter to each other. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I want to do that now. And I'm like, let's do it. And then I forgot to like circle back, like, because I have kind of like a flow, like most people have like a flow on the wedding day.
I've been in the flow. I know the flow.
So I typically like I'll do all the groomsmen stuff and get them back inside. Then I'll do my groom stuff, and then I get ready for the ceremony. And so I was like at that point getting ready to do my groom stuff when I got kind of frazzled by like, oh, I got to do this letter thing. Should have done groom pictures while we're waiting for the bride to come out. But he was like reading through his letter and trying to like, get ready for that. It was a very emotional couple, very sweet wedding. And yeah, I never circled back. And so I ended up cropping him out of groomsmen photos and delivering that.
I'm just going to be completely honest with you here, Dustin. I have done a very similar thing this year. It wasn't as bad as I didn't get any groom photos. It was just like we did some groom photos like when he first got ready.
So I have those. Like I have like the old jacket tie photos, but I don't have like the put in your wallet nice senior photo style.
So like we do like he gets his jacket on, all that, then they go out to the first look, and we typically like while he's waiting for the first look to happen, we do a few more groom photos then. But then we typically do more groom photos later. And there's a wedding we shot this year where later never happened. And it felt like a gaping hole. And
well, that was the other
did a
thing.
similar thing where we just cut a few, like cropped him out of a few different photos and then put them in later. This might not have been this year. This might have been last year because we haven't done a ton of weddings this year because of COVID. But it's fresh on the mind, sort of, ish.
Fresh on the tip of the brain, if you know what I mean, Stephen.
Oh, yeah. So just fake them,
So, well, I did a few groom portraits later on because we did some night photos because I remembered by then that we did not do them, and that's the downside of like a late year wedding, the sun sets so early. So we were doing portraits because they chose not to do a first look. So we had like really doing portraits, like bridal party, bride and groom, super fast pace. And we ended up doing like a lot of night portraits of the bride and groom because the sun sets here in Indiana around like 4:30 this time of year. And so we did a few night portraits of the groom, which were cool. But it's still, I was like kicking myself because it's something that my second shooter typically would have caught on to, but like my wife was shooting her own wedding that day, and so I had a different second shooter, and she was just kind of like more shooting what I was shooting and not like co-shooting, so to speak. Like when I'm shooting X, she's shooting Y, and so yeah. But it all worked out. A couple loved the photos, didn't even notice, and hopefully they don't ever listen to this podcast. But
this is why your wife can't share about the podcast. We've been over this. Stephen Nicholas from our very own Facebook group says, should I abandon my crusade to stop people from upgrading to a shiny new DSLR, mostly the D750? I can't help but constantly advise people to stop investing in new DSLR bodies. I feel like, why the hell are you buying a VCR and rebuying all your movies on VHS when all the makers of VCRs and VHS tapes have openly said they're only going to be making DVDs and DVD players from here on out? And this hypothetical VHS tapes are still expensive as shit, and the VCRs are discounted as so people will buy them and get trapped into buying expensive tapes being the lenses, VCRs being the DSLRs, of course. I state my piece, and a ton of people simultaneously post about the D750 3 days later. The poster shows off their brand new mistake, and a part of me dies inside. Thanks for attending my TED Talk. Should Steven stop telling people to stop investing in DSLRs, Dustin?
Steven, I think it's to this, I say to each their own. A lot of people are heavily invested in high quality lenses, and to them, the idea of jumping into the mirrorless world seems like, why? Because
why? Like, why would you even
why? Like, bro, like, why would I like to do it if it's not broken? Like, why fix it? That's what my dad always said. So yeah, I mean, if you're shooting with the D750 or the Nikon body, same with the 5D Mark IV, Steve still hasn't jumped into mirrorless, and it's just like, if my brides like the pictures and I'm comfortable shooting on it, and I don't want an easier user experience, then why would I upgrade?
Why would I ever upgrade? I don't want those things. I don't want to have an easier time shooting, Yeah. Oh gosh, if I got that Canon R6, the photos, it's only 20 megapixels, man. The photos would be smaller than my 5D Mark IV photos and take up less space. And I don't need all the space of a 5D Mark IV. It's like, why am I using this 5D Mark IV, Dustin? I don't understand it. I'm making so many mistakes. Why don't I buy these R6s?
Because you don't have any money.
Yeah, mostly that. Thanks, COVID. Oh,
thanks, COVID. Wait till that
I've got all the lenses already.
Comes.
That's my question for Mr. Stephen Nicholas from our very own Facebook group.
What do you do with all the VHS tapes?
Yeah, these people already have the VHS tapes. You're saying don't buy the VCR because then you'll have to buy a bunch of VHS. I can barely speak. It's Eric Bloodaxe. It's great. Don't buy the VCR because you already got all the VHS or whatever. But they've got the lenses already because they've already got a DSLR somewhere, right? So why wouldn't they just stick with a DSLR? If you upgrade to a mirrorless, like
Merlin?
Suddenly, you upgrade to a Merlin suddenly because mirrorless are magic. So if you upgrade to a Merlin, suddenly it's like you got to buy all new lenses because you could get an adapter, but
Blu-rays.
The adapter just don't work as well. We skipped over DVDs and we've gone straight to Blu-rays.
And if you're gonna get the Blu-rays, you got to get the monster cables.
Yeah, the gold-plated ones from Staples.
Gotta get the gold-plated monster cables.
Oh, Rebecca from a random Facebook group says, how do you politely word, yes, I'll help you plan your elopement, but you have to give me the money for photographing it first. LOL. Someone just inquired asking for help planning their elopement, which I'm happy to do, but not for free. Laughing so hard I'm crying emoji. I just feel like if I tell her that she has to pay for photography first, she will be like, okay, but how do I know how many hours I want you if I haven't planned it yet? LOL. Dust?
Rebecca, aka Josh Withers. It seems pretty self-explanatory to me. You just say, I'm not a elopement planner. I'm a wedding photographer / elopement photographer. However, to save you money on hiring an elopement photographer or elopement planner, I am happy to help and aid you in planning once you book. We have this happen a lot, even outside of elopements, just in weddings in general. People will try to pick our brains and get us to help essentially plan their weddings. And I've been trying to taper that back a little bit, where I used to be like an open book at these bridal consults. They'd walk out of a bridal consult with like
binders and binders of women, Mitt Romney style.
What? No, they'd walk out of.
Sorry, I don't know why my mind went there. It's because still election brained. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a very interesting place to go with that. But no.
Hanging Chad. Bush Gore, Florida.
I know. I got it. We're old. But yeah, they'd walk out
Sarah
with
Palin.
Polar bears.
She can see Russia from her house. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Take a pause. Take a breath.
Sorry.
Don't even.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Her name is Jennifer. Her name is Jennifer.
I've never had sexual relations with her.
I know, but her name is Jennifer.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So you don't help people out, binders of women. Got it.
Fine. Yep. They would leave the consult with like a timeline, all the locations, vendor list, the whole 9 yards. Wedding would be planned, and they hadn't even booked me yet. And now I tried to not.
It's this part of me that jumped ahead to binders of women because I knew you were about to say you gave them a vendor list, and in the wedding industry that means mostly females. So sorry.
No,
Sorry.
Male only vendor list.
I've got binders of men.
Exactly.
Sorry, my whole political deluge there was all from that one thing where I jumped the gun. Sorry.
Yeah, and you were wrong. I
was wrong, yeah, because Dustin's very sexist, but male-centric sexism in the wedding industry, which is rare in the wedding industry.
Exactly. It's a rare sexism.
Oh, we're going to hell in a handbasket. Oh.
It's a comfortable handbasket. But yeah. So I would just say, once you book with me, I'm happy to help.
I'm happy to have you.
Happy to have.
I'm happy out. Happy. Yep. I'm with Dustin here, and I cannot believe I'm saying those words. I cannot believe it. Dustin's got a smile on his face.
Right there. That's the episode.
He's got a HoneyBook in his pants. He's real happy. Yeah. So often people will be like, hey, I would love to help you out. And I feel like my go-to response is to be like, yeah, no. If you need any help, even if you don't hire me, I could help you out because I'm trying to be nice and I'm trying to be like a good person. And it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. be a good person. I want to be a person who can pay my mortgage. I want to be a person who can feed my children. I want to be a person who can look at Dustin's face on a weekly basis because I can pay my internet bills. You know? That's what it comes down to. So you want me to recommend vendors to you after you told me that I was too expensive? Sorry. No. Do the research on your own. Go to Google. I don't care. You want me to help plan your wedding for you after you told me I was too expensive? Sorry. No. Not unless you start paying me money to plan your wedding. That's right. Van Elk & Co., we're getting into wedding planning now, baby. I guess I just made that decision. I hope Jen's okay with that. But that's where the business is going, apparently. We're doing it all. You need somebody to DJ your wedding?
Van Elk & Co.
Molly Maher from our very own Facebook group says, y'all, I need some advice on editing these family portraits that I'm not happy with. I don't know if I should just leave them how I have them or if there's anything I should tweak. I just don't like the setting with the dappled light. It was the only place that was big enough outside the venue. I just don't think they look great / consistent with the rest of the gallery. Any advice for somebody who's unhappy with some family portraits?
Don't do family portraits.
Boom.
Cut 'em.
It's like you knew why I put that question in the show notes. Oh, family portraits are not important. Everybody out there, you're a photographer, you're listening, you're thinking to yourself, but my clients want family portraits. I'm here to tell you, your clients aren't going to print those. They're not going to put them in their album. They don't actually want them. You're the professional. It's up to you to tell them no family portraits. Period.
I always do this little bit at weddings right after the ceremony, right before we do family portraits, when I go up to the bride and groom before the family all comes up, and I look dead straight at them and I say, you guys, like, I know this might surprise you, but this is why God put me on this earth. Like, family photo time is my favorite time. And I'm just honored.
There's a special place in hell for you.
I'm just honored that you guys are giving me the opportunity to capture these photos that you don't care about and you will not use. And I think it's something that's come with age. So I say that to like joke with them and get them sort of goofy and loosened up about the family photos. But then there's definitely a filter that broke last year, I think, inside of me, where it gets to a point where they want to do a family photo or do like a combination. And I'll say like, they're like, oh, like the mom will suggest it or the sister will suggest it. Like, oh, let's do a photo of this. And the bride kind of looks at me and I'm like, are you going to hang that photo anywhere? And she looks at me and says, point taken, Mom, we're not doing it.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
Whoa.
Well,
that's like just nuking them.
Well, there's like this big trend in the Midwest to do photos with and without the bride and groom. So like the groom's family.
No, that's not a trend in the Midwest. I live in the Midwest
everywhere?
and I've never once had that requested.
No, like the groom's family will want like the photo with the groom and the siblings and the mom and dad without the bride as well.
Oh yeah, that's
with
the
the bride.
You said without the bride and groom. You didn't say
No.
without one of them.
Just
Okay.
without one of them. And like on both sides. Like the parents were like, oh, can I get one with like my daughter? And oh, can we add my kids in? And I'm like,
oh, and can we
you
get
mean
that
like
one
the one we
in
just
case
did?
they get divorced? You know,
And that's what I always tease. I tease that. I'll be like, oh, this is in case you guys ever split up. And they're like, oh, yeah, you're right. This is like awkward as hell. I'm like, yeah, because this is a wedding and these two just got married and you guys want to do photos of them without each other. Like,
we do.
am I right? Am I right?
We do on our family photo list. We do photos with the bride and like her mom and dad and her mom and her dad and
Right, I do all that.
then also if there's if it's a bride and a groom, then we do like groom with the mom and dad and the mom and just the dad. We don't do like the groom
Whole
with his family, the bride
Right.
with her family. Like
But
that's just
We
weird.
get that. We get that on our list, like that they send us. Like they'll add that, or like parents or somebody will like be like, "Oh, can I get one with just my kids?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but this is not a family photo."
No, but I get the
Yeah.
parents saying, "Can I get one with just my kids?" Because it's like oh, this is a excuse to not have my son or daughter's boyfriend or girlfriend who I don't think they're going to end up with in the photo.
That's my favorite tease at a wedding, when like the brother or sister has like a boyfriend or girlfriend, and ahead of time I've been told I want to get one without the boyfriend or girlfriend. And so they're like, I don't know how you do it, but like just make sure we get one without them. And I'm like, all right, now go ahead and step off to the side, girlfriend, because this is in case you guys don't work out.
Ooh, snap.
And then I followed up with, if you do work out, call me.
We had our photographer do that to my brother-in-law.
Really? See, it works.
He was just engaged to my sister. No, he wasn't even engaged to my sister at the time. They were just dating, and we were like, yeah, let's do like the whole family, one with him and one without.
Right. It's just easy.
And like now looking back, I feel like a dick for doing that. But at the time, it felt like, yeah, but you haven't made a commitment yet. And we want you to end up in the family, but also we don't want this photo ruined if you don't.
Oh, totally. I mean, Corinne and I have been married so long that like there's so many people in our wedding photos that are like no longer together, and it drives me just crazy.
Jen and I have been married for so long. There's like so many people in our wedding photos who we don't talk to anymore.
Oh, you're going to say that are dead. And I was going to be like, that's really morbid, Steve.
No, I mean, it hasn't happened yet. It might happen this year with COVID, though.
That's why.
Yeah. Let's do one more question so we don't end on a downer. Rebecca Elliott from our very own Facebook group says, I get it. I'm a dick. But would you say it's more of a douche canoe move to lie about how you took a photo? Which, example-wise, was to say, yes, shoot a long exposure photo with rain. And say like that you just shot the long exposure photo and it had rain in it. You know, somebody posted this, she saw this. Or is it more of the douche canoe move to call the person out who lied and say, "Foo, I know that's an overlay because highlights (parentheses rain) don't show up on other highlights (parentheses sky." Basically, if you blow your sky out, the rain shouldn't show up in the sky. You know. And Rebecca says, so this is how I'm procrastinating today. How about you? So what's more of the douche canoe move?
So the question is, Rebecca, you want to call out a fellow photographer, or somebody's calling you out? I guess I was trying to understand the question.
I'm pretty certain Rebecca was calling somebody else out. If I had to guess, this is 2020, Rebecca. Question. It's a very old question.
Let's not call people out. It's 2020.
Fuck that, Rebecca. It's 2020. Call that person out. We don't
burn them down, liars. Rebecca.
Hey, you know where liars brought us to, Dustin? It brought us to the situation we're in right now. You know, that's where liars have brought us. It brought us to this point where our country can't get a pandemic under control because we have a liar for a president who won't take any action on what's actually happening. So Rebecca, call that person out.
Gotten better this year.
Yeah, probably. Call that person out, and when you call them out, just be like, "Yo, you the Donald Trump of photography." Boom. Boom. You got some good slams. You got some good slams. Slam them up.
I don't have good slams because I like overlays from time to time, and I'm not saying that makes me a good person. I'm not saying I feel like overlays are ethically right.
I was in a group the other day, and somebody was like, "Look at this photo I took. What do you think's better?" And it was like an overlay with fake lights, and then an overlay with fake snow, and both of them just looked completely and totally wrong and out of place. And like the fake lights weren't even connecting to anything where you might hang a light. It was just like lights hanging from the middle of the air, from the sky. And I was like, how does this person even think this is a question worth asking? How do you put rain over your sky when your sky's blowing out? It wouldn't show up, Dustin. It wouldn't show up. That's all blowing out.
I know. But I had a wedding. I posted like an anniversary photo for a bride. She got married in the winter, wanted snow, didn't snow on her wedding day. So I posted an anniversary photo on her anniversary, and I photoshopped a snowy scene around one of their wedding photos, and I went real far with it. Like it looked like just mystical snowy goodness, and sent it to her.
Donald Glover, you went hard in the paint like around a period.
Not quite, but it might have been a Christmas miracle. And posted that, and she loved it. She was asked if they could get it printed and framed.
What's more important to you, Dustin? Is it more important that your client loves your work, or is it more important that you have self-respect at the end of the day?
That my client likes my work. Because if my client likes my work, then I have self-respect. No, I don't work for you,
money.
Steve.
You don't have self-respect.
I don't work for Rebecca Elliott. I don't work for other photographers. I work to keep this roof over my head.
How's that working out for you?
Roof is still there, and it's got Christmas lights on it.
How often at your real estate jobs do they ask you to Photoshop snow in? Oh, that's a bad question. You've shown me some of the ridiculous requests you get at real estate jobs. Can you take this driveway that was torn up and it's all just dirt, and can you put like a real driveway in for me, please?
Yeah, I get that one a lot.
Hey, we're going to put a pool in the backyard, so could you Photoshop a pool in real quick?
My favorite one lately has been like, so we had a lot of wind today, and I raked all these leaves, but then we had this wind, and now there's leaves in the yard. So maybe can you Photoshop all the leaves out of my yard?
I was going to go rake the other day, and then I looked outside, and it was blowing, and it was 40-mile-per-hour gusts, and our neighbors' leaves were just blowing into our yard, and I was like, if I just wait, maybe they'll blow to the other yard.
I was photographing a house, and I wish I would have filmed this, but there was a guy raking, and as he's it was a sweet old guy, and as he's raking, all of the pile he's raking is just blowing back into his yard, and it was watching some GIF of a guy. It was just I felt so bad for him. I just wanted to go across the street and say hey sir, I think you should go back inside. You're fighting a losing battle right now. The caption of that, if I had taken a little video, would have been 2020.
When I was in college, over the summer, I had an internship in downtown South Bend, and every day on the way home from work, we would drive by a house, and there was a guy out in his front yard every day wearing just a Speedo, watering his grass with his hose in his hand, just spraying back and forth, standing there in a Speedo. He didn't want to pay for a sprinkler, I guess. And he also was out.
Why would he? Multitask.
And it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. And he was maybe 75, 80, somewhere in there.
That's just all I'm doing when I'm 75 or 80.
Yeah, and I was like, man, if I'm 75, 80, and I'm that, if I'm that as skinny as that dude, I'm gonna be outside in the Speedo every day.
Yeah.
I never got a good look. I couldn't see if saggy nuts are hanging out or anything, but that's just for you. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Wedding Photo Hangover podcast, or probably another 2 episodes, because that was so long. I'm probably gonna cut it and just do Q&A in a second episode. That's for you, Dustin. I'll cut this out of what people hear. If you love the show, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. If you want to connect, we're at Wedding Photo Hangover on Instagram. Dustin, my man, is at Dustin_McKibben, and I'm at Steven Van Elk. We have an awesome Facebook group you should join. Just search for Wedding Hangover. If you want more content, head over to the Patreon by going to patreon.com/WPH. Thanks for listening.
SaveTheWorld.com.
And we'll see you next time. Your head is pounding, your limbs feel like dead weight, and your entire being aches for the sweet embrace of death. That's right. Next week after you shoot another
wedding. Dun dun dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
Bum 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 bum.
Dustin, what a good, buddy. What a good.
I think, other than people dying this year, the most depressing post-COVID realization is losing movie theaters. I think that one kind of hit me a little bit hard.
Mm-hmm.
especially because I did brave the theaters.
I haven't gone to see a movie since my son was born, so I'm not there with you.
That's not true. You and I have gone to see a movie.
One movie in 9 years of his life?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, you saw it with me.
Okay, I saw Doctor Strange with you 4 years ago.
Exactly, see? And I saw Tenet this year, and it was fantastic. But I don't know. I just had this vision of going to movies with my children, and
you can take them to the drive-in now.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
it's funny. This dying breed of theaters that I'm like surprised is still hanging on is now like the most in-demand format of movie viewing out there.
I mean, a lot of drive-in theaters are not even showing movies anymore. They're just doing like concerts and other stuff.
Yeah, totally. And like even restaurants in like Texas, I saw were doing like drive-in drive-ups where they're like showing a movie in the parking lot of the restaurant, and then you like to bring the food out to your car.
There's a restaurant in Noblesville, and I was at the liquor store because I'm a drunk. That's me, Steve, your local drunk. Boo, 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 boo. And the restaurant just had a DJ outside playing. It was right before Halloween. He's playing all Monster Mash songs and stuff like that. And there's just no one in the parking lot. He's just out there like spinning. Oh my god!
Props to the restaurant
so
for
good.
Trying to be creative.
Yeah, I was like, nobody wants to come listen to this guy's crappy music and sound system when the sound system in their car is probably better and they could pump their own jams that they actually want to listen to. It's not like they can get out and dance.
Right. That's hilarious.
Oh,
but no, we have 3 weddings left for the 2020 calendar year.
I'm all done with weddings, baby.
Yeah, that sounds like a slacker talking.
Well, our December weddings all canceled. But they canceled like in the summertime, like before this most recent thing where Indiana was like only 25 people at a wedding now. So
when you get that call, do you say, and they're like, yeah, we're thinking about like canceling our weddings. And you're like, I'm sorry, are you a quitter? Do you consider yourself a quitter? Because where I, the great Stephen Manelk, hail from, we don't quit, especially on love. So that wedding, that's happening, and we're going to do it together as a team and make love. Maybe not each other, but we'll capture it.
No, we're going to make love to each other. Baby, yeah.
I mean, if you want to add that into your sales pitch, by all means. But I think you should work that in. So we kind of worked that into our repertoire, and we didn't have barely any cancellations this year.
Yeah. You were like,
until now.
Are you a quitter? Because I don't know, man. Where are we going with this? We've had a lot of people.
Bobby type shit.
We've only had one person quit, as you put it, like a full-on cancellation, and their wedding was scheduled for next year in February, and they just decided they didn't know when they were going to get married, so they just wanted to cancel, and that was it. And we're like, you could reschedule with us and that'd be okay. And they're like, no, we think we're done. So I don't know what that means, but
yeah, we had a couple completely break up last month, and it like breaks my heart because it's all COVID stress induced related.
But you could say like the breakup was COVID stress induced, but like, were they going to stay together if they couldn't make it through COVID? Like,
that's what my wife said. Like, it's good that they broke up now because then there's chances are they would have done it later. But like, I'm like, I don't know.
Someone they actually love and want to stay with.
I'm like, I don't know. Like, would they be in another pandemic where there's a situation involving the stress of deciding whether to postpone a wedding or not postpone a wedding, and they both can't agree on it, and that indecision on both their parts leads to the marital breakdown of the relationship?
No. If they still wanted to get married, they would have eloped.
No, she wanted to get married and elope, and he didn't want to get married without his family present. And
they still could have done that. Elopements can have up to like 15.
Correct. His family refused to come unless it was a full-on wedding.
Yeah. Sounds like she made the right call in leaving him because his family sucks. I'm throwing that out there because the only thing that matters when you get married is that you get married to the person you love. Your family, their family, your guests, none of that bullshit matters. The only thing that matters is that you love each other. And if he wasn't willing to commit to that, then he doesn't deserve to marry her if she was willing to commit to that. Because it sounds like she loved him and he didn't love her.
His counter argument was like, we already live together and we already like are together. Like, why do we need to rush into this wedding if we can't have the big white wedding that you've always dreamed about?
And she's like, it's not the big white wedding I always dreamed about. It's marrying the person I love most that I always dreamed about. And if you can't see that, we don't belong together. Boom. She wins the argument. Boom. Done. Yep. Done.
Pretty much what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to get married, you get married. Jen and I have shot multiple elopements this year because people just want to get married still. So, I mean, I know people who have like a booming elopement business now because people just want to get married still, and they don't give a shit if they have the big wedding. What matters is they get married.
Elopementco.us.
Well, and the thing is, you can always do the elopement and then plan the wedding later. Did you not pitch that to them? Did you not pitch to them, hey, look, why don't you guys elope now, plan your wedding ceremony later, but you'll still get married and you'll have the date you planned on locked and loaded, babies.
Yeah. No, their venue, their COVID response was they actually already set a backup date for all of their couples in the event that something happened this year.
Wait, the venue set the backup date for them? They didn't get to choose their own backup date?
I mean, I'm sure there was like you pick between these three, but because the venue after the cluster of the spring they had, I'm sure they were like, hey, moving forward for the rest of the year, here's the backup dates you can pick from in the event that like the rest of the year.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays.
It was like a Thursday. And so they're like, can you confirm with your photographer that he's available? Like, yeah, I think I can swing a Thursday. I think I can maybe make that work in the schedule.
Yeah.
But
dude, I've done some Tuesday, Thursday weddings this year. They're great. I would love to see more Tuesday, Thursday weddings after the pandemic. Let's keep them going, baby. I want to work on from home anyway, like a normal man.
Yeah, trust me, 100%. Tomorrow is our first Saturday off, and I don't even know when.
Nice.
So I'm gonna be spending it building a fire pit in my backyard like a caveman.
Oh yeah. Hey, Dustin, I forgot to ask you. What a good baby.
What a good baby.
Yeah. It's been a while since we talked last. So, what you into? What you watching? What you reading? What you listening to?
I have circled back to an oldie but a goodie. I felt like with how depressing this year has been for most, I wanted to circle back to something that makes me smile. And I am watching for the very first time 30 Rock.
I love 30 Rock. You made such a good choice.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm proud of you, Dustin. What season are you on?
Just the first season. Or actually, I might be on the second season now.
Yeah. Ooh, nice.
But no, I was rewatching some of my favorite episodes of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, which is one of my all-time favorite series. And Jerry Seinfeld's episode with Tina Fey, and she kind of talks about how that was her launching board. And I was like, you know what? I've never seen that show. I want to watch that. And
it's so good.
And I turned it on, and I was like, I just immediately fell in love with Alec Baldwin. Like it's essentially like watching like the audition for his Trump.
You love a strong Republican male, white male figure.
But it's like he's like a sensitive, strong. I think is what I love about it. Like how
his character's great. I love him in that show.
He puts in this sort of like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's sort of like this very, it's like a character I've never seen portrayed, and I love the character he plays. Like he has to be liked. I think he's essentially playing me. He likes to be liked, but he's very business oriented, super sensitive.
I relate most with Liz Lemon. So
Exactly. Like I'm all about just getting ahead.
yeah.
I
This
just
all
want to
makes
throw
sense.
out with Liz Lemon's boyfriend.
Yeah. No, this makes total and complete sense. This explains our relationship so well.
Like
So
I just
also,
watched the episode where he takes Liz to some like fun, like the Swedish like ambassadors or princes birthday party, and Liz like thinks like leading up that it's like a date, and like as they're walking in, she's like, "Is this a date?" And he like starts naming people at the party that he could bang if he wanted to, or like the kind of people he would be with if he wanted to. And I just love the like the boldness and like how he the cadence of how he talks.
it's how I feel so much when you talk to me.
Exactly. That's when you're like, Dustin, are we here at Imaging as a date? And I'm like, that presenter I could be podcasting with, that presenter I could be podcasting with, that Kiss album, Sean Gordon, that I could be with him.
Dustin, why would you do this to me?
Speaking of, well, I'm thinking about it. Off topic, off podcast.
Oh, no off podcast. We're not done with the podcast yet. We have to finish the podcast, then we can go off podcast.
Remind me to circle back to Kiss then.
Yeah, I'll kiss you. Don't worry. So that's all you wanted to talk about, 30 Rock?
That's what I'm into. That's what I'm doing right now. That's 30 Rock.
When you finish that, jump on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Very similar sense of humor. And if Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt's not your thing, there's a show that came out, one of the writers from 30 Rock made and Tina Fey produced called, I think it was called Great News or maybe Good News. Only lasted for 2 seasons. Super funny, though. Very, very similar to 30 Rock and like the way the jokes are like made and presented and stuff. I loved it.
Cool. I will take a peek. What's good for you, Steven?
I've gotten back into reading. I know you thought for the longest time I was illiterate, and I just want to say audiobooks.
I will probably have gotten through by the end of the year 20 books. I think what I'm gonna consume.
So I've always been like big into podcasts, and I like audiobooks. I mean, I listen to like all the Harry Potter books on audiobook, and I've listened to a bunch of other books, but I could never figure out how to get my library's app to work to actually find audiobooks. And something clicked.
And you realize there's a books app.
Something clicked recently, and all of a sudden like it started working for me, like the search function. And so I listened to Neil Gaiman's American Gods. Chef's Kiss, great book. I loved him. Like he wrote for Doctor Who, and like he wrote a bunch of stuff, but like I'd never like read or listened to an audiobook of his before. So that was like my first foray into that. Very good. And then I started reading the Brandon Sanderson series, Mistborn. Oh, dude, so cool. And also got into the Stormlight Archives. Also very good. If you like fantasy type stuff, it's just like the way Sanderson writes about like magic. It's like he approaches magic as like, I'm gonna set up a bunch of rules so the magic has like a scientific sort of like base, maybe not a scientific basis, but it has a logic that can't be broken. And like anytime he writes like a sequence where like people are like fighting with magic or something, he goes in depth, in detail, describing like how they do each thing they do based on the rule. I think you would like the books, bud.
Send me a link, because I digested and read all of the Harley Merlin series this year.
Oh, the magic series you're reading with Corinne, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I finished all. The writer who writes these is the speed in which she puts out books is like bananas. So I finished all of, like, I'm up to date on where she's at in the series. She writes them obviously more like faster than the audiobooks come out, so I'm like waiting. There was a book that came out, the next book that came out in May. She puts out 3 books per series a year. And so I'm like 3 books behind, but the audiobooks haven't caught up.
Yeah.
So I started a new series that the same author wrote about vampires. I'm not like a big vampire guy. I'm not like really into that thing.
But vampires are so sexy.
But I
Have
liked
you seen
how
Twilight?
well. So funny enough. So
What about an interview with a vampire? Tom Cruise. Yeah.
Get out. So like funny enough, that's kind of what this book, all of this author's books are pretty much like the most popular mainstream books, and she takes them and she just makes them her own and kind of copies them, but like
So
makes
is
it
this like True Blood then? Is that what this is?
it's more like from what Lily's explained to me as I've explained the book to her, because she's really into vampire stuff. It's sort of more like Vampire Diaries meets Twilight, I think. I don't really know much about Vampire Diaries, but
Twilight Diaries?
Yeah. Just sort of like the unrequited love of a vampire, and now there's
Vampire.
I'm like on book 15, and there's
15 books.
There's like 80 books. I'm telling you, this author is insane.
But they're crazy. Wow.
But they're short.
Sanderson was like a beast because he's putting out like one fantasy novel every year. But 80 books is just a next level beast mode. Like, geez.
I feel like she must have a team because she's doing these multiple series that are completely unrelated, and she's got like a James Bond-esque one. She has this Harley Merlin one, which is sort of like a Harry Potter-esque, and then she's got the vampire one, which is sort of like the Twilight-y Vampire Diaries vibe, and then she's got like one that's like a Hunger Games spin-off and a couple others, but it's just she's churning these suckers out, and she must be making good money because like I'm paying like 20
Maybe she doesn't
bucks.
have a team. Maybe she has this thing called work ethic.
Don't know what that looks like.
Neither do I.
Swear, unless it's like she wakes up and she's like, on Mondays I read a book for this series. Tuesdays I turn the hat around and I write magic book.
The top hat around.
Yeah. But like the company she uses to produce the audiobooks is pretty phenomenal. That makes such a big difference, is the author, like the person reading it.
Mm-hmm. That was the thing I loved about American Gods. Neil Gaiman, he had it was like a cast of people who like came in to do it. It was like I think it might have been like a BBC audio drama, but I'm not certain. But it was really well done, like with
Isn't
lots
that
of
a show
different
now?
Voices.
Isn't there
there was a show on Stars like a year or two ago with what's his face, Ian McShane.
Yeah, was it any good?
I don't know. I didn't watch it because I wanted to read the book first, and now I've read the book, so now I could go watch it. But I don't have Stars, so how do you watch?
You post on Facebook and say, any family members have Stars that I can steal? Or you call your cable company and say, are you running any promotions where I get a free month of Stars?
Yeah.
That's how I get Showtime every now and then.
I feel like Showtime would be a better one to get than Stars.
No, they typically give me the option.
Don't they have better shows?
They'll be like, we can give you a free month of Stars, Encore, or Showtime. And I'm like, well, I really want HBO, but I guess I'll do Showtime.
See, our cable package is cheaper with HBO than it is without HBO, which is weird. Well, it's because if you get like if you get just the internet, then it's your internet is half as fast as what we have right now, and it costs the same amount. Or you could bundle it with the television package that comes with HBO, and it's the same price and twice as fast. And it's like, well, I don't want your shitty television package, but I guess I'll do it, and I'll watch the HBO sometimes. So
that same thing happened to us, where we had Disney for the kids for the longest time before Disney had its own standalone service, and so we had TV service, and then our internet sucked. So finally, after a year of living here, I called and upgraded our internet, and I was like, hey, like, I want to upgrade the internet. I want your fastest speed. I have gigabit speed now, but I'm like, downgrade me off of cable. Like, I don't need that. take your DVR box back. We're just gonna run internet only. And they're like, okay, let me like check on the bundles and everything. They're like, do. And you're like, huh, that's weird. I'm like, what? They're like, so if I take away the cable, you actually will pay more for the internet. And I'm like, how does that work? Like, you're taking something away.
So you have Comcast too, I assume then.
Oh yeah. Have you gotten into professional sports betting like the rest of the country?
No.
Went to a father-daughter dance recently with my daughter, and I knew that it was becoming a thing. That
All right,
was.
whoa, time out. We need to wrap this up.
Okay, that's fine.
We're 2 hours over. Dustin, have a great night.
Good night, Steve.
Wedding Photo Hangover was edited this week by Steve Van Elk of Bespoke Tone. Go to Bespoke Tone for all of your photo, video, and audio editing needs.